it's one thing to say we're going to be systematically and strategically bad and then hope that that leads us to our franchise quarterback and our franchise players, which it did for, on some account, before you started getting rid of guys or you just wasted their primes, right? Thankfully, Miles is still here, so we can watch them waste his prime in real time because that's fun. But, like, they're trying to win. That's what I think is so frustrating. Like you've kind of mentioned a couple times, well, is that kind of part of the plan? You know, you don't want to be too good that you cost yourself. Yeah, but that's about, let's be 3-14, 4-13, 5-12, whatever, will be the best version of what we're going to try and be. They didn't account for, you know what? I'll say it.
Just say
they were
just
bad.
Say it with your
chest. Say it with conviction. I'll say this. Not only is Andrew Berry bad at building a roster to compete, he's bad at building a roster to not compete.
Which is the easiest thing to do in sports. Like that's supposed to be, we talk about the layups in sports. The easiest thing to do in sports is supposed to be able to have a roster that can just flatline and just stink up the joint. That is bird brain level thinking that you have to be able to pull that off.
216-474-0092. Mikey and Berea, we got about 45 seconds here, buddy. What you got for us?
Hey, basically since, Stefanski's been at the helm, it's just been downhill as far as, play calling and things like that. But really all these games, if you look at it, come down to decision making. Okay? Like, I don't care if we have our fourth running back. Why are we not running the ball? I mean, we're always down 2 possessions. We know this. It's every story, every Sunday. And we still decide not to run the ball. The reason the Green Bay Packers were in the game yesterday while the Steelers were stuffing them because they continued to run the ball. And I just don't understand. You're trying to help out a rookie quarterback. And no matter the quarterback, it doesn't matter. Because until the decisions start to change, then we're going to get the same outcome.
Mikey, we appreciate you. That was about 45 seconds on the dot. You're a professional. Yes. This Kevin Stefanski showed you again yesterday that although there is only one way, one identity forward that will give you a chance over 4 quarters to stay in a game, he is not willing to commit to that identity because it locks him in and he can't do all the other stuff he wants to do.
Just a nice little I was right radio for myself offered up there. 9 total carries for Judkins, 35 total passes for Dylan Gabriel. We told you it was going to happen on Thursday of last week.
I think that actually probably is what upset me so much is as it was going down, it harkened back to every conversation you and I had, including it didn't have to be a blowout. New England's a good team. They're a fine team. They're not the Detroit damn Lions. Listen, I think it's fair to say we've let Kevin Stefanski have it in the first hour, and he deserves so much of this. For his half of the thought partnering, from the quarterback decision to his absolute devotion to Dylan Gabriel, who, to no surprise to anybody who actually watched Dylan Gabriel play, is booty cheeks, whether that was in camp, whether that was in the preseason, whether that was going all the way back to Oregon. Mm-hmm. He's not an NFL starting quarterback, and for some reason, they took him where you'd take a starting NFL quarterback.
We couldn't even get Oregon fans to agree that Dylan Gabriel had any sort of oomph to him.
The best way that anyone has defended the pick is, well, teams no longer look at it as if you're a backup quarterback. The backup spot's so important, you can take him in the top 100, which is dumb. Because you can find a backup quarterback, and a good one, anytime you want. You can even develop one anytime you want. You don't have to take one with a top 100 pick.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want about Colorado with Shedeur, but there's not any Colorado fans that are like, Shedeur Sanders stinks at football. I met all sorts of Oregon fans that are like, yeah, I really love the Ducks, but I really don't know what they're doing with Dylan Gabriel.
He's such a great guy.
That's it. Mean, yeah, he's a great guy.
He's like Mighty Mouse, but a quarterback who can't throw very far.
I forgot to check and see if his fiancée Zoe had put out any TikToks from yesterday.
I think I'm good. I don't think I need to see any TikToks there.
I want to see how she spun it. She was actually not even close to positive with the Pittsburgh game, and so I wanted to see if she went down that road again, too. She's kind of honest in a refreshing way about her own quarterback.
We need to talk about Andrew Berry, though.
Okay, let's talk about it.
We need to talk about Andrew Berry, not just Andrew Berry's many failures, right? Andrew Berry's the guy that went out there and constructed the 4-man quarterback room of Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders, and then 5 weeks into the season, you were left with half of those guys, and the value you got in return for the 2 veterans was a 5th-round pick and a 6th to 5th round swap that basically the value of is the first pick in the 6th round. So essentially, for 2 quarterbacks, you built your entire season around that were traded within the first quarter of the season. You got a 5th and 6th round pick for. That is galaxy brain type stuff. That's not why I'm irritated today. I think the fact that that Kevin Stefanski is out here taking all these bullets, and listen, I get it. That is the head coach's job. But the idea that Andrew Berry did not speak after the Greg Newsome trade, he did not speak after the Joe Flacco trade, and now we are halfway into this season with the bye week. This is a logical place for the GM of the team to speak.
And a spot where he historically speaks.
And a spot where he historically speaks means one of two things. He's either on his way out or he is ducking from responsibility and trying to lay this all on Kevin. I think it's the second thing, and if it is a historically embarrassing thing to be allowed to happen. Andrew Berry, who I actually think has been better at dealing with the media historically here in Cleveland than Kevin is, right? He always gives us a little bit of something actually we can kind of figure out what they're thinking about. But for him to let Kevin Stefanski go out there 4 times a week and deal with the same questions, which have to be asked, by the way. It's not a media problem, but Kevin goes out there and has to, and listen, does Kevin do much with it? No. Does it drive us crazy? Sure. We'd like accountability. We'd like culpability. We'd like something real. But for Andrew Berry to just not speak to the media in the first half of the season is embarrassing. It's a dereliction of duty, and it's very much letting Kevin Stefanski twist out in the wind, and that's where I feel like you got to call the leadership here. That's crappy leadership on top of being bad at every other facet of your job.
Well, you put Stefanski in the firing squad, and he's done that so often throughout Stefanski's time here. That's what they do. I mean, Jimmy Haslam himself speaks, twice a season at most. He's not, and he had thoughts over the past weekend, and maybe this is where Andrew Berry doesn't want to put his thoughts out there because it feels like everything that Jimmy Haslam said over this past weekend to Diana or to Ian Rappaport, Diana has already kind of shifted, and you could easily see how he was just speaking to speak, and so maybe Andrew doesn't want that, but the idea that Stefanski just has to always take the blame, if I was Stefanski, I'd be livid about that.
And by the way, this is where this kind of completes the circle of why it would make sense that Kevin would say yesterday that Dylan's the starter going forward, despite the fact he also said we're going to evaluate everything going forward. Like when your GM leaves you out on an island after 2 trades, both of which look like you're thinking about next year instead of this year, to then, after, again, the first 8 weeks, which were a tough road to hoe anyways, to get blown out 4 times out of 8 games, and then to have the GM nowhere in sight, when your quarterback room is a late 3rd rounder and then a 5th round pick, that speaks volumes about Andrew Berry. And I hate to say that because the one thing I always thought about Andrew Berry is that was a classy guy. This is not a classy move.
You mean smart, tough, or accountable?
Well, no, I never. Maybe the smart thing.
The accountable part of this is definitely missing.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And maybe the toughness too. I don't know. I've never seen him box, but he's certainly, he's got the smart thing. Right?
He could dodge a couple punches.
He's a defensive back. I bet you he's got good feet.
Definitely
That's
dodge
a smart point.
Yeah, for sure he could. No, but the part of this that, listen, do I really care what Andrew Berry was going to say about any of the trades or the upcoming trades? Probably not. Yeah. I would like his thoughts on the quarterback situation, but he's probably not going to tell you anything concrete or of substance anyway. It's just the idea that he keeps hanging Kevin out to dry every single time. Like, at least show your face. If you're going to make all these decisions, going to make these moves, let us ask you the question, what's your plan, to then be able to hold you the slightest bit accountable when it goes skewed and goes a little bit different.
Now, I said the only other thing you could be is he's already cooked and he knows it.
And that might be the case, too. Like, you phrase it as an either or, and it might just be an and type situation.
216-474-0092. Is Andrew Berry ducking the media? I don't really see, after trades, GMs typically speak. He's made 2 trades, hadn't said a damn thing.
Did Haslam think him speaking a couple days ago was kind of like speaking for the whole thought partner group? Is that what that was?
Ooh, if so, that's bad for the thought partner group.
Did you think that was going to be the cover-up? Because I was shocked when Haslam did speak, by the way. He speaks twice a year. We get it at one of the owners' meetings. That was obviously a different owners' meeting there, but it's a few amount of times that he actually does go out there and speak. And so I wonder if maybe he thought that was cover enough.
I also think that people took Jimmy Haslam giving a vote of confidence for Kevin Stefanski as like a rubber stamp. And guys, Go back. We have to remember what this was like before we had Stefanski and Barry. Votes of confidence in football mean nothing. Well, it's usually a sign someone is closer to cook than not.
Okay, but you notice how, and this is how this works. This would work for Andrew Barry as well. What was the one quote out of that whole entire little stretch, at least the one I latched onto, was the idea that Jimmy Haslam said, it's not, I don't care about what you do when things are good. I care about what you do when things are bad. Well, guess what? He used that as a great reason for a vote of confidence for Stefanski in the Miami game because things were going bad and he turned it around. Well, guess what happened this last Sunday?
Things were blown out.
Yeah, things were bad. They got blown out. So if you're using your own words, we're going to judge you off of what happens when things go bad and things go poor. Stefanski's not passing the sniff test here.
Is Andrew Barry ducking the media, or just can anyone tell us where? Is he out in San Diego? Is he getting some? I mean, I think San Diego is nice this time of year.
It's always nice. It's 70 degrees all the time in San Diego.
Maybe him and 1/3 of the other thought partners are getting all strategical together.
Constant 70 degrees. That's
practicing their strategery. Is that what's going on?
I don't think you have to practice that. I mean, that's just
now
they're playing like what board games.
I was thinking like thought partners. Maybe it's an ayahuasca trip to Costa Rica. Like if you're a thought partner,
now we're talking thought partners.
I mean, when you and I have talked about planning the show going forward, it's like, well, we can't do that possibly without some sort of ancient hallucinogenic and being 5,000 miles away. That's the only way I thought partner. I don't know about you.